Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Monday, September 8th. We are here live. Time for a little industry insight. I've got my co-host, Brent Hutto from Truckstop.com here with me. Brent, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin Rutherford from Northwest Arkansas. Traveling again today, up here seeing all the peeps up in Northwest Arkansas. I didn't know you could be known for just a geographic area of your state, but you can when you're in Arkansas.
There you go. So you're out jet setting again.
Yeah, I'm up here seeing J.D. Hunt and Walmart and Tyson and Pan Transportation and all the great, wonderful transportation providers and part of our supply chain in America up here. So it's really cool. Northwest Arkansas is a stunning state. You'd love it.
Yes, it is. I've driven through many times. For some reason, it always seems to be about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure why that is.
Well, I get it. You know, all of us down in the South, we're just flyover country anyway. So, you know, nobody pays any attention to us. We like where we live. So
that's right. That's right.
So happy to be on, but happy to be with you today, man. Lots going on.
Yeah. So speaking of 3 o'clock in the morning, it's there's a lot going on, a lot of good stuff, but it's been crazy busy. And I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning Friday night. Lisa's already saying I wasn't. I absolutely was. She's trying to dispute me. She was sound asleep. How would she know?
Contradicting.
She is. You would not believe why I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning. And last night it was midnight. Not quite as bad, but so after putting in a full day out at the homestead, we've been canning lots of tomatoes this year. We were blessed with a huge tomato crop. So it's been, we'll probably.
Well, now the big question is how many did you can or jar or whichever you did?
We will probably. We're not done yet, but when we're done, it's going to be somewhere between 70 and 80 quarts.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, probably.
That's a lot.
If I had to guess, 150 to 200 pounds of tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's man. Did you hand pick them yourself?
Yes. I put each tiny little seed in the dirt.
Get out of here. Now look, with our guest coming on today, don't go start talking about farming with him because he loves farming. Man, he's done a lot of farming. So
that's why I was setting this up. We have a great guest joining us today. Would you like to announce him?
We sure do. Well, I would absolutely love to announce him.
I thought you would.
I talk about the two greatest relationships that I have been so fortunate to be able to enjoy in trucking since I started in 1998. And they both came, as I've famously said on this Let's Truck program, at the same trade show, at the same month, and in the same year. And the first one is, of course, the year was 1999. The first important relationship was the gentleman who's on the video here, Mr. Kevin Rutherford. And then the other one, same exact year, same trade show, was Mr. Scott Walter Moscrip, the guy who founded. I didn't even know what it was at the time. I was like, at the time, it was the Internet Truckstop, which became Internet Truckstop, which became Truckstop.com, which is on your very, very nice looking T-shirt.
It is.
But
yes.
But for the tribe, I've been fortunate enough to be as good of friends with him as I am with you, deep friends, great best friendship type friendships. And the things that he's taught me about technology, about developing technology, but how it applies to people has been like a PhD level course in me understanding how you build things to help people. Because he's always about this, and you and I have talked about this before. He's about try to find the biggest problem you can and solve it to the benefit of people. And to me, where you even talk about, where you talk about what's the mission statement, it's something into the, wait a minute, I'm trying to remember you're going to have to tell the tribe because for some reason I'm not going to get the word right. It's exploit your talent. You're gonna have to.
Yeah. And I always have to make sure I stole this from Larry Winget. He said it so well, and
yeah, you told me. Yeah,
so it's discover your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others.
There you go. But the big part is in the service for others, because you're not doing it just for yourself, and that's where you find the greatest reward. And I learned that from Scott so many times over the years. I knew him, and then from 2013 to just this past year to just, and I'm still doing some advising for Truckstop, but I've learned that from him as a friend. Now, we're only 1 year apart in age, but there's a lot of things he's helped me as a friend and his wisdom with. And I hope that there's a lot of things I've helped him with a friend, as with the same relationship with you, where we just really help each other.
Well,
so joining us today is Mr. Scott Moscrip, the founder and now current CEO of Truckstop.com.
Yes, and let's bring Scott in. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your podcast this morning.
Well, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about you, so I figured we might as well bring you in and talk about with you here.
Oh, well, that's even better. Hopefully all the things you said about me previously were amazing.
They absolutely were. It was one of my favorite business lessons, because sometimes we forget this, that no matter how big an organization gets or how small it might be, the leader always matters. And I just don't know if we've seen a better example of that than what's happened with Truckstop.com with you coming back. It feels like Truckstop.com again. And the leader does matter. And it just doesn't matter how big the company gets. There's so many examples of this. The other one I've always used was Apple. When you look at their history and how he was forced out the first time and the company almost didn't exist. Saved by their competitor, which was an odd thing that Microsoft kind of bailed them out. And then Steve Jobs comes back and builds the greatest company ever. And I'll say it, since we lost Steve Jobs, Apple's just not the same. I haven't seen him do much of anything innovative since he's been gone. And we watched that happen right here in trucking. And it's great to have you back.
Well, it's good to be back.
Yeah, for sure it is.
It's interesting that you say what you just said, because since I've been living at a hotel here in Boise, there's a Panda Express right next to it. And I have visited that Panda Express many a time, and I've started to collect some of the fortunes that they have in their wonderful cookies. And one that I have taped to my monitor is, you have the ability to undertake and complete anything you desire.
Wow.
And I truly believe that is part of what makes a leader great, is that they understand that they can actually complete something in their business. And a lot of times I think people just kind of sit back and manage and just kind of hope that the business takes care of itself. But that isn't the case. As the leader of your business, whether it's one truck, 1,000 trucks, or Truckstop.com, you have to go out and you have to complete the things that you set out to do.
I like to tie things back. One of my favorite business books of all time, been around a long time now, but I remember reading it when it first came out. The 7 Habits. This would be habit number 1. Be proactive. That's the difference between what you were just describing, kind of sitting back and managing, waiting for things to happen and reacting, or setting a goal and getting out and getting things done.
I totally agree. And all that great wisdom came from Panda Express.
That's right. That's right. I've got Brent, I don't know if I've ever told you this. There aren't many stories I have that I haven't told, but there's a couple, and this one just popped up. I had a horribly traumatic experience with the fortune cookie.
You bad.
I did.
All right, well, do tell.
And I still remember it. I was probably 7 or 8, maybe, and I was at our neighbor's house, and they ordered a bunch of Chinese food. And my fortune cookie actually said, I don't know how this could have gone this wrong. My fortune cookie at 7 or 8 years old said, "You will not die, you will be killed." Who puts that in a fortune cookie? I've been scarred for life over that.
I don't think that's a fortune cookie. I don't think that's a fortune cookie.
Yeah. Isn't that awful?
You might want to eat at a different Asian restaurant if that's what's happening.
Exactly. So let's talk about a couple things. Scott, I want to get to some of the exciting stuff going on at Truckstop.com again these days, but help me understand this, you two. Both of you are pretty wise. How can our government be this incompetent? How is it that I just read last week a headline where the FMCSA is considering adding fentanyl to the drug list for testing truck drivers? They're just now considering adding it. How is that even possible?
Like, why wasn't it already there? Is that what you mean?
Yes. It's been one of the worst drugs we've ever seen in this country for quite some time now. This isn't new. It's been going on a long time. Fentanyl's been added to just about every other street drug on the market because it's so cheap and powerful, and we're still not testing drivers for it?
It seems like that's something that would be already on the list. Like they wouldn't have to go to a new regulation to add it to the list or something. They should just be able to add those things immediately because they are because the obviously detriment to human beings with it, but and the risk it puts for any person being on the road
that's exactly
has consumed it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And how is it that fentanyl is an opioid, but it's a specific, so it has to be tested specifically. But it's also, this one shocked me, there's no real requirement, and a driver is completely legal to drive while on prescribed opioids or benzodiazepines like Xanax and Valium. And they're usually given out together. There's no requirement to report that the driver's allowed to drive as long as they were prescribed. Seems crazy.
Scott, you were Scott was the mayor of New Plymouth, Idaho for, I think, was it 3 years, Scott? Was that your term, or was it 4? Or was it 4 years?
It's a 4-year sentence. you don't have to renew it, but after 4 years, you can decide that you've cleaned up enough, and it's time for someone else to have the experience of running an entire community. And so I've worked with a lot of political organizations over the year. And it's funny that you would bring this up because next week I'm actually in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill talking to people about some of these very types of things. More crazy to me is just something as simple as carrier registration.
Oh,
yeah. Why do you have DOTs and MCs and HRSs and all these other things, and then each state has its own type of registration, and then you figure out that you can be an exempt carrier and you don't even have to register, and so there's a lot of very interesting things in transportation that definitely need to be addressed, and just a little bit of standardization would go a long ways. But I just don't want to follow the California standards. So
let's not.
Those are way out there.
Yeah, let's not. But I'm glad you brought this up because there are a couple topics that I bring up several times, and I usually get the deer in the headlights look. But you're kind of touching on it. I'll come back to that one. Why don't we have a federal commercial license? Why do we leave the licensing of commercial drivers when really they're totally regulated at the federal level, but we leave the licensing up to every state? And we got a bunch of weird, goofy rules. Why not just have a federal commercial license? That one seems like an easy one to start with.
Well, it seems like you'd miss out on having to register in every state so that each state could get its cut of the money. I mean, businesses, that sounds like it'd be way too simple of a solution.
So here's one that's more complicated, and I can't get my head around, and nobody ever even seems to have an opinion about this. I just get the look like, well, that's just the way it is. So if we go back prior to deregulation, the industry had a pretty unique situation. There were a couple other industries, utilities and some of the others, that were also federally regulated. And from what I can gather, the idea was that if you didn't protect these businesses, utilities and trucking, that had to try to cover the whole country, that if you didn't protect them from too much competition, you'd never be able to get the industry to grow. That's kind of what, when I go back and look historically, that seems to be some of the motivation behind this. And then there was some safety, but it seemed to be mostly allow these industries to grow without too much competition, so the federal government regulated them. Then, smartly, in the early 80s, we deregulated them, which was the right thing to do. And it was only financial. We're not talking about, people say, oh, there's no deregulation, we're more regulated than ever. Not financially. A lot of people don't even understand what deregulation was changing, was the fact that the federal government controlled rates in trucking by controlling who had authority and who didn't. And it got to the point where all the value in a trucking company had nothing to do with its profit. It had everything to do with what authority it had. Because it wasn't just like today where you get authority and you go do whatever you want. Every lane was regulated. You may have authority to haul in one direction, but not the other. It was a mess. We deregulated it correctly. It was the right thing to do. Why then do we still have this thing we call authority? Why does that even exist now? I can't think of another business that has to go through this weird process where you go ask the government whether you can be in business or not. And it's not like it protects us from anything. Look at all the fraud we've got going on now. What's the point of that whole process anymore?
It allows the government to control what isn't controllable.
And collect some fees.
That wonderful authority, that wonderful authority chases you in everything that you do, every inspection that you get, every insurance certificate that you buy. Every violation that's recorded against you, it goes against that authority, and makes things more interesting in the industry. But it's always been about control. We talk about having free markets, and in many cases we do. Things are far less controlled than they used to be. Airlines used to be the same way.
Right.
They had to publish their fares. They couldn't charge anything different than the fare that was published. And then you get Southwest coming along that says, we're going to publish a really low fare. But now you look at it today, it's completely deregulated. Pricing is completely whatever you want it to be. And the three airlines that still exist all miraculously charge about the exact same price for every single flight. And so what they figured out is that by deregulating, they could increase competition and it would actually improve pricing.
Imagine that.
We've definitely seen that in transportation. I mean, you think about it, deregulation happened when I was back in high school.
Yeah.
And the prices that carriers were getting back then and the prices that they're making today are miraculously fairly close. Especially if you take out inflation adjustment. Most drivers, unless they're very careful with their businesses, are making the same amount as drivers were making back in the 80s and 90s when they first deregulated.
Yeah.
And so it's been an interesting process as competition has increased. That what's been amazing is the number of people coming into the industry. People from all different sectors coming in and taking a job that is frankly a very difficult job. There are a lot of moving parts when you are a truck driver. There's so much you have to be aware of, so much you have to do, so much paperwork you have to file, all the regulation you have to comply with. One of my big things when I'm back in D.C. is, hey, let's get rid of some of this stuff.
Yes.
Let's make some of this stuff more electronic. Why can I have some of my permits electronic? Like, we have basic permits now, and medical cards can now be electronic, but our hazmat permits can't be electronic. Our overdimensional permits can't be electronic. Why are we picking and choosing?
Right.
If electronic is good for one thing, why is it not good for another thing? And frankly, a lot of it is just, it's control. It's hundreds of years of history. I love to tell people all the time that, trucking hasn't changed in the last 5,000 or 6,000 years. Just the equipment to move things has gotten better.
Yeah, that's really true, though. It really hasn't changed all that much, and I've been at it quite a while, and the more it changes, the more it stays the same. One of the things we could simplify is why can't we just stop at the US DOT number? Why isn't that enough of a registration to handle all the other things, the safety inspections, the audits, all that? Why do we still go on to that MC number, which used to mean something and really doesn't anymore? What I don't understand the whole process of getting that MC number these days.
And it was supposed to have been retired 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the government just came out just recently and said, we're still not quite ready to retire it yet.
Yeah.
And it is many of those things that just don't make any sense. I understand each state wants its own DOT so it can make its own state rules. Instead of having just one federal set of rules that govern all transportation. And I understand there's reasons for that. There are people that have jobs at these locations and they don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
And so things are slowly changing. We just have to keep hoping that they'll maybe change a little bit quicker here going forward.
Yeah, and some of the changes we're about to see right now, I was also reading quite a bit lately, the current administration trying to reverse all the damage the prior administration did with the independent contractor rules. I mean, we were right on the edge of major changes with that. Now it looks like we're going back in the right direction. Like, it was way overcomplicated under the Biden administration. We were about to lose a lot of independent contractors. I mean, we watched it in California. It's still a mess out there, which again, why do we continue to allow California to make such a mess of our industry when most of these rules should be federal?
Yeah, and what was fascinating about that one is that initial law was targeted at the gig economy.
Exactly.
Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, and they were the ones that got exempted from it in the final version.
Did you hear
They'll figure that one out.
I thought this was fascinating. Yeah. The defense that they used, I thought was brilliant. So Uber and Lyft and the gig economy, the big players, when it really was targeted at them, I thought their claim was brilliant. They said, look, you guys can argue all day long about who's an employee and who's an independent contractor because it doesn't apply to us. They're neither. They are our customer. We have a software platform. They use it to run their business. That's all it is. We're a software company. We're a platform. And I thought that was a pretty brilliant argument.
Yeah, well, we didn't make the same argument in trucking, and so as a result, we've got all sorts of fun things happening there.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, Scott, there was a law. There was well, let me put it this way. kind of comes back to the money. In California, there was $200 million spent by the gig economy workers. And that's why things like Uber, Lyft, and many other categories got exempted. Consultants that work for law firms, all kinds of stuff. But trucking was not exempted. It was one of the only ones not exempted, which is it's a little kind of crazy when you think about it.
Brent, you forgot the fact that the exotic dancers were exempted too.
They were exempted. Absolutely, they were. That was put on the list. Thank you for bringing up that very important piece of information. Well, Scott just brought up something about the government and things like that, and the idea that technology has helped overcome some of the inefficiencies of government, I think is really probably what got Scott going. Because Scott was, believe it or not, Mr. Rutherford, Scott was working for the government right before he started Truckstop.
Hey, and I'm so glad he left.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
And I think the government is too.
We may have had Doge early had you stayed.
Well, I was trying to do that, and I was very abruptly shown the way things work in Washington, D.C., and I was not doing the things the way things work in D.C.
Imagine that. One more thing on the independent contractor rule. When Amazon came out with that van program of theirs where they were putting people into business with, 10, 15, 20, 30 vans. I thought that was just a disaster waiting to happen. You look around at a lot of these vans now. We're a couple of years into that whole thing. The service has gone way downhill. The vans, when you see them, are junk. I knew this was coming. Here's what I didn't understand. Do you realize no matter how many of those vans, and there were people that were getting 20 and 30 at a time, though they don't own those are leases, and Amazon gets to decide what maintenance gets done and just takes the money right out of your account. And I guess it's really bad. One of the stories I just read, I think a guy had 10 vans, and he just got hit with $100,000 bill to repair the 10 vans.
Oh, wow.
And it's not his choice.
Wow.
Yeah. What a horrible deal that is. We thought lease purchases were bad in the over-the-road market, and they are, but these are really bad. So let's talk a little bit about the economy and what's going on with rates and trucking, and seems like we're starting to hear some talk of a slowdown.
Slowdown in the economy?
Yeah. Did you see the jobs number that came out?
I didn't. I was traveling. I did not see the jobs number come out, but I'm sure that Scott paid plenty of attention to those sort of things. So
1/3 of what they expected.
In some ways, the economy is slowing down, but in transportation, we're not really seeing that.
Interesting.
We seem to just be, I hate to say, we're cruising along at normal.
Normal?
Well, it depends. Normal means that everyone is going to do normally what we've seen in the past. No one's going to do better than what they'd really hoped for. No one's going to do really worse than what they hoped for. We'll see a normal amount of people going out of business. We'll see a normal amount of people coming into the business. It really is quite fascinating. The things that concern me a little bit more are the growing part of transportation is exactly what you were talking about previously. That Amazon driver, that hotshot, that Sprinter van, that's the growing part of transportation. It's shorter hauls with trucks, which means fewer miles driven for drivers. It's all sorts of interesting little things of that nature. But as far as the transportation economy, we have really seen we've seen no change almost for like the last year now. It's been kind of plodding along. We see the little hiccups. Well, tariffs today, no tariffs tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everyone's rushing to ship stuff today. No one's rushing to ship stuff tomorrow. I mean, you get kind of that kind of stuff. But in transportation, I think for the most part, we are very elastic. When we need to move things fast, we need to move things fast, and we'll do it. When things need to slow down a little bit and we need to kind of slow roll the freight to its next location, we do that too. We have a tremendous industry that is incredibly flexible and helps keep this country going, regardless of what's happening.
Yeah, Scott, it is amazing how that happens.
Yeah, and you're right. It's kind of been a boring year, Brent. You know, you don't bring a whole lot of excitement to Mondays. It's kind of like, yeah, well, it's kind of looks like it did last week and the week before, and we're pretty normal. And, you know, so we end up talking about everything else because there hasn't been a whole lot going on with rates and volumes.
There's been very little change, yeah. But think about it this way, though, Kevin, and Scott, I'd love to get your opinion on this. You think about the expansion that we had in the 27, 28 months during the pandemic, and rates were crazy high, right? And freight was crazy plentiful. And now we're coming back down out of that curve, that economic curve, and we've just been at kind of normal for a while, which is probably, in Brent's opinion, actually a pretty good thing, because what you wouldn't want it to be is below normal. Now, rates have been below normal for sure, especially when you consider the prices have gone up, and I think we do have a previous administration, and then just certain economic cycles that have just kind of driven that. But in the end, when there's still plenty enough freight to move, then businesses can continue to move forward.
One of the things Scott, I'd love to get your.
That was a big exhale, Kevin.
Yeah, it was. I know. Scott, one of the things I'd love to get your opinion on, because I've been pretty heavily involved with it, and I was wondering if it may have had any impact on these jobs numbers. I'm not sure that it did, though. Seems to be a little all over the board. But do you think that AI has had any impact on these jobs numbers yet? Because on one hand, there's jobs being created because of AI, and it's hard to see what jobs might be going away. But I thought it was interesting that we did see a big hit in the jobs numbers. Do you think AI is having an impact on that yet?
It may have a slight impact, but I think more of an impact on a lot of these job numbers are just simple things like, minimum wages increased on July 1st in a lot of states. And every time minimum wages go up, jobs go down, because people that have...
Oh, they do. Yeah, great point.
Minimum wage type jobs, every time you raise that minimum wage, the company looks for a more efficient way to do what they're doing. I remember when they were talking about, the minimum wages, excuse me, in California, and just how the sheer number of, fast food workers have to be paid $25 an hour. And
right.
the fast food restaurants all going, okay, well then when you come in for your $5 value meal, it's going to have to cost you $15.
Yeah.
And the government saying there's no way we're going to allow you to do that. And so the restaurants looked at, how do I get robots to cook the food? How do I get the food more pre-cooked so that the prep time is less? How do I get fewer people in the restaurants? I think a lot of what we're seeing come out of this is switches in the economy in several places. I think, relatively speaking, retail is down because minimum wage and retail are two things that go fairly well together. People are eating out less, which means restaurants are going down. in their employment. So a couple of the big sectors that have been big and growing for the last couple of years are kind of taking a pause back. And then I look at, the kids that are graduating from college these days, and they're coming out with degrees, but with no experience. And they're having a difficult time moving into an environment where, businesses are not rapidly expanding. And if you don't have skills and experience, they're not really excited about picking you up at the moment and giving you those skills and giving you that experience. I have a son who is graduating in computer science and is having a difficult time getting a job because he lacks experience. And the business world is kind of like, well, if you don't have experience, I don't know how well you work. I don't know if you'll be able to add to our business. And so it's not surprising that jobs are slowing down a little bit. I think President Trump is trying to do his job of trying to bring more work back here to the United States, more what we would consider middle-class work, manufacturing, development, things of that nature. But all those things take time. It takes time for people to build a plant and to repatriate production here to the United States. I live in Florida. I have a fairly good supply of fresh vegetables year-round in Florida. When I lived here in Idaho, in the summertime, I could get any fresh vegetable I wanted, but in the wintertime, everything had to be trucked in. And I learned that a lot of my fruits and vegetables didn't even get grown here in the United States anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
There's some fairly sobering facts that we are going to deal with as a country over these next few years in bringing back production to our own country and having it closer to us, which for carriers, of course, means shorter hauls because things will be made closer to their consumption points.
Yeah, which could also feed into a good trend, because I think if we build the right system of shorter and medium length hauls, we solve a lot of the driver issues.
We do, but if the cost of labor to produce things nearshoring close to us is super high, then no one will be able to afford to purchase it. Brent told you I had a garden. I used to grow the world's best cantaloupes. I mean, no kidding. Best cantaloupes in the world. But I could only transport them about 5 or 10 miles because they were so ripe and so delicious that they wouldn't last. There's no way you could do that commercially, which is why when you buy a cantaloupe at the store instead of the farmer's market, it's all tough and not very tasty.
Yeah, so I'm going through that right now. Scott, you would appreciate this. So I thinking back to when I put the tiny little tomato seed in the dirt on March 1st and all the work I put into all those plants, and now we're harvesting them. Mm-hmm. Then we have this long process. We slice them and oven roast them. Then we run them through the food mill, and then we make sauce out of them. Then we can that sauce. And not exaggerating, I would not sell a quart of this sauce for $30 a jar. And you can buy it in the grocery store for $4 a jar. Not like this, but, people look at it and say, well, it's spaghetti sauce. We have made food so outrageously cheap in this country, but it's awful. Mm-hmm. Like you're talking about with the melons. Who wants to eat it? They're terrible. They have no flavor. The nutritional value is less, and they're just really, really cheap.
Yeah, and in our garden we grew tomatoes and peppers and jalapenos and onions.
Yes.
My wife would make homemade salsa, sugar-free salsa.
There you go.
Out of that, and has an amazing recipe for that. And we still do that today. We have to go to the farmer's market, though, in Florida to pick up our tomatoes and peppers. But yeah, homemade food is it is absolutely amazing. We also make about 80 or 90 gallons of strawberry jam and about 60 gallons of raspberry jam out of our garden each year, and we take it down to the cafeteria for the employees to eat at lunchtime.
Nice.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, how nice.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty sure there were some FDA rules kind of sidestepped in that process.
I'm certain that there were, but that's the beauty of the home kitchen.
I say that because last weekend I actually spent the weekend working at a homesteading conference here in the Gorge with Joel Salatin and Azure Farms. I emceed a bunch of their stuff and was on their mentorship panel. Joel Salatin wrote a book about a lot of food stuff and farming things, and the title of the book was Everything I Want to Do is Illegal.
It is illegal, but it's healthy. That's
right, and that was his point. And his big push right now is he's pushing and he is in D.C. He's been working with RFK Jr. His big push is to kind of make food really free. Like, why shouldn't I be allowed to make dinner and sell it to my neighbors? Or why shouldn't a farmer be allowed to provide whatever product right off the farm direct to the consumer? And they should be allowed. We just have way too many regulations around that stuff too. But that was an interesting conference. Scott, I'll ask you, have you ever heard of the company Azure Standard?
Nope.
It's shocking to me. They are the largest distributor of organic food in the United States, and nobody knows who they are. But their model is they don't sell their products in stores. They sell it through drop locations, and they've actually covered the entire country. They have their own trucking company, and they deliver. So, for example, we usually pick up just once a week. It's enough. On Tuesday, I drive 20 minutes, or once a month, there's actually a drop right here in our tiny little town. But a drop could be somebody's home. It could be a natural food store. It could be a intersection where you meet the truck. But they've covered the entire country with organic food, and they're the largest distributor in the country, and nobody knows who they are.
For the past 3 months, I've been eating Panda Express, Tortilla Factory, Chuckarama.
Scott,
I haven't seen any homemade cooking the last few months here.
Yeah, we got to help you out here. That's not good for you.
No, it isn't. But boy, it sometimes sure tastes good, and I sure get some decent wisdom out of it.
There you go. Hey, one more thing I want to talk about before we have to wrap this up. Can we talk about what I think is a very exciting new feature service coming out of Truckstop.com?
Yeah. Hey, I also want to make sure that, and I want to, if you don't mind, I'll talk about that feature, but let's also talk about, like, Scott, I'd love for people to hear just a little bit from you on, like, how you go through the creative process of coming up with ideas, because I've been around this guy, Kevin, and he's like an idea a day.
Ooh, I love
that sort of thing. So I'd love for him to, I know. So let's talk a little bit about this new product, and then just the sort of the product creation process and kind of how your brain works around that, Scott.
Okay. So which new product are we going to talk about?
The private load board.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes, the private load board.
Love that
one. Yes. So what was happening in the industry is when we started 30 years ago, carriers had to go to a truck stop, look at a bulletin board that had cards on it, or if it had been modernized, look at a TV monitor that would list what loads were available out of that area.
I remember those days well. I was actually, I was also at the time, I had trucks, so I did a lot of staring at bulletin boards and, dialing a phone from when the truck stop used to have a wall of about 30 phones. But I was also a broker early in those days when most brokers did exactly what I did. I got a cheap hotel room right next to the truck stop, and you have the hotel take out all the furniture, and you bring in your desk, and you ran your broker office from the parking lot there with magnetic signs and trip leases, and I remember those days well.
Yeah, well, in those days, the truck got to where it was going was empty and sitting. And so the idea for Truckstop.com was to get the carrier to think of things in advance and not wait until he was empty and not sit there.
Right.
And that worked incredibly well. In fact, we showed our customers that if you listed your freight 2 or 3 days in advance instead of only same day, that the carriers would call you sooner to get that booked, knowing that they would be there in time to pick that up. And so that went incredibly well. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what's happened in the last few years while I've been out, but we've gone back to we offer it to all of our internal carriers up until the last day. And then in the last day, we'll put it out to the public so that the public can see it. Well, what that's meant for their internal carriers is they're getting a lot of emails, they're getting a lot of AI phone calls, they're getting a lot of distraction in their work as people are trying to say, hey, by the way, we've got this, do you want it? As opposed to the carrier kind of being in control and going to looking for it. So what we did with private loads is we said, look, instead of email bombing, AI phone calling bombing your carriers, simply list the freight, and we'll just list it as private so that your approved carriers that you're trying to get this information to can see it in their normal course of business and be able to take that load much earlier in the process. And if it doesn't move through your approved list of carriers, then on the last day, it can be switched from a private load back to public. And what it's done is it's given the carrier a little bit more control and eliminated some of these phone calls and email bombs that they're getting. And the idea is just simply, it's what we were doing before, but you stopped doing it for some reason. And so we're working on getting people back into the habit of being able to book things online, book it early, and not be wondering when they're driving someplace where their next load is going to come from.
Yeah, I love that, and it fits the model we've been teaching them how to use the load boards forever, is that you really should just have a handful of good customers that provide most of your freight and fill in when you need to. But the idea of just being able to work closer with some dedicated brokers that you now have this great way of communicating with, I just love that idea.
Yeah, and then we've added who you have relationships with. So when you're looking at the load board, you can see, oh, I'm already set up with that broker. That's the load I'm interested in. I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of paperwork. I just need to get it booked. And then from that, we developed a way to link into the broker's system so that now you can book it actually online without ever having to talk with him by going into his website and completing that process.
Yeah, I absolutely love that whole model. I think it's just so much more efficient. You know, Scott, you'll appreciate this. The first time, and this goes ways back, but I started doing tax returns for owner-operators and small carriers, and the first time I had to count that one owner-operator had more than 100 1099s from brokers in one tax year. And in my mind, I went through, I can't imagine how much time was wasted and how much stress was created working with 100 different brokers in a single year.
Yeah, and what we're trying to do is make it so you can work with 100 different brokers in a single year, but have it be simple and easy and not time-consuming.
Yeah, efficiently, which was
Yes.
was not efficient at all. So I love this. I love this idea.
And all the ideas that we develop here at Truckstop.com come from our customers.
Yeah.
Our customers say, I'm having a struggle with this. Can you help? If there's a technological solution, we can help. If there isn't, we're usually pretty good at saying, technology isn't going to fix that problem.
Yeah.
That's a human problem, and they make HR departments for a reason. But if people have things that they need help with in their business, that's what we're looking at. This year, we're going to do 30 projects to celebrate my return back to Truckstop. 30 new tools to help people be more efficient and to do their jobs more quickly.
Wow.
And a lot of those tools and packages are included in your standard subscription at Truckstop. We have some new things that'll be coming out here before the end of the year that will be, I think, well received by the industry. But it's all things that people have been asking for. And for some reason at Truckstop, we stopped doing it. And now that I'm back, we're doing it again. We're listening to the customers, and we're delivering things to help them be more efficient. Trucking, I've said it my entire life, trucking is a tough job.
Yeah.
And anything I can do to help make that job easier for someone, I am very interested in doing it.
Well, here's what I love about that. The types of tools you've always created there, in my opinion, absolutely benefit the smallest carriers the most. And I love that. You allow very small carriers to operate with the efficiency of big carriers and the technology that big carriers have paid incredible amounts of money for, and you make that affordable all the way down to one truck. And it sounds like you're getting back to doing that, which is exciting.
Yeah, when we started, Schneider National had put out an article saying that they were going to spend $1 billion over 5 years on technology at Schneider in the late 90s. And I sat there and thought, the average everyday truck driver doesn't have $1 billion to spend on their technology. Maybe we can bring some of that $1 billion worth of technology down to the level that everyone can use it and everyone can afford it.
And you did.
We've been incredibly successful at doing that.
Yes, yeah, and it's exciting to hear you're getting back to that.
Yeah. So Scott, I said something before you started responding about the private loads and about how you came up with ideas. Now, and because I've been friends with you for a long time and worked with you, and my life's been better because of it. But everybody says, "Oh, Scott's a genius. Scott's this. He just knows how to solve the problem." So I thought it was interesting when you said, "We just try to listen to the customer and give the customer what they're asking for." So could you? So you're trying to say that it's not some like special sauce, some genius sauce that you come up with every day?
No, I think the ability to listen is one of those things in this country that a skill that we have lost. We seem to be really good about talking, but we don't seem to be very good about listening. And I think that was kind of a challenge that we were having here at Truckstop.com. It goes back to that leadership when we were talking at the very start. Steve Jobs could listen. And he could hear what it was that needed to be created. And then he could take his ability and push that creation to completion.
Right.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it sounds simple, but it's pretty darn rare.
I have always said that any solution should be simple. And it's crazy. The simpler a solution is, the better it is. It's just absolutely wild.
I agree, because I've said many times when things start to get complicated, I can't understand them, so I need to keep them simple. There's a quote, I'll probably butcher it, but any any idiot can complicate something, but it takes a real genius to simplify it?
Yeah, I would totally agree with it. I tell people all the time, when I get a solution, when the solution is done, you just don't go, well, duh, that's the way we should have done it. Then it's
keep
the wrong
working.
Solution.
Yeah, keep working.
If it's not full of duh, then it's not the right solution.
I like that. I like that. All right, guys. Well, we have blown through the entire hour. Any final words of wisdom before we have to wrap this up?
Be safe out there.
I like it. All right. Brent? What happened to Brent? He's there.
Keep me. I muted myself.
Oh, there was
it's called user error.
There.
And no, I think the thing that I take away from anything, and I learned this back when we were looking at the investment community, and it basically is, look, make decisions quickly, and then if you're not finding success, pivot. Notice I use the word pivot and not change. Pivot quickly off of the idea that's not creating success and go find another one that can. And so, because most businesses think if they just put more effort, if they just put more energy, if they'll just put more money into something, which is time, by the way, then don't ever think your time's not money, because it is. You can't get it back. And so, just they think if they'll do that, I'll find success eventually. And usually, when you start to find success in something, it comes quickly, it comes fairly. Now, it doesn't mean you're not working hard. It just means it usually starts to show up. So, I just encourage everybody, if you've, and I learned this from Scott, I learned this from being at Truckstop, I learned this from what I'm doing now with Truck Parking Club, is that if you're not finding success, pivot quickly, and you'd be surprised how success can be just right around the corner with the next sort of iteration of your idea. And I know that we've seen that at Truckstop. I know that we're seeing that at Truck Parking Club, and I know you've seen that, Kevin, with your platform as well. So to me, that's probably the greatest advice I've ever gotten. Yeah.
So just a couple things real quick. Why is truck parking so darn controversial? What's with the little spat going on now about Noel's report? Come on, really? I talked about this the other day.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, we can talk some more about it next week if you want to, when there's more time. I think it's just different people seeing things different way. We released some research that we stand behind, and so different people see it in different ways. And then, of course, we kind of did a little bit of a provocative marketing piece out there. We said we were just saying, hey, read the report. We weren't saying, look, we were not saying there's not a parking shortage, because there's a giant parking shortage out there for sure. There's a giant parking shortage.
So we can talk about it.
That's kind of where we are
next week. But here's kind of my take on this.
Yeah.
How long have we been arguing about whether there really is a driver shortage or not? And now we're also going to start arguing about whether there's a parking shortage or not. Here's kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
If we're arguing whether there is one, there probably is, or we wouldn't be talking about it. But what made me crazy, and it was also, Oida that said this several times, and it made me kind of crazy. On the driver shortage, there would say, there is no driver shortage. You just need to pay people better. Well, wait a minute. In the same sentence, you just said there's no shortage, but told me why there's a shortage. How does that make any sense? Yes, it might be pay. Yes, it might be that the spots aren't available, but I don't know why we waste so much time and energy arguing about whether there's a shortage or not.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of different opinions there and that sort of thing. I'd love to dive into this next week with you. Absolutely. I went ahead and sent you the report. I thought I had sent it to you, but I went ahead and sent you the report so you can read it and make judgments for yourself.
Yeah, I will.
Now we say conclusively in the report that we say that there's actually almost 3 times more shortage than has been previously reported. So the opportunity to help truckers that continues to stand out there to help them find safe, legal parking places to park in, just like Scott's coming up with more and more ideas for products to help them be more efficient in running their freight operation.
Well, here's what I was told when I posted about this on social media. I was told that I picked out the worst time ever to partner with those parasites that Yeah,
Oh, no.
because you're actually trying to charge for a service. Makes you a parasite, I guess. They said when rates are down and costs are up. Well, should we be giving away free fuel because rates are high and or rates are low and costs are high? This is business. It's an opportunity. So we'll talk about it more next week.
Let's dig into it next week. Happy to, buddy. Yeah.
All right.
Scott, thank you for being on today, man.
Yes.
What a joy.
Scott, absolutely. Oh, I know what I wanted to add. Brent, do you have any plans on coming to Idaho anytime soon?
I can make plans to come there. They don't have any settled right now, but let's figure out the date that works. What are you thinking about?
No, I'm just thinking if you were heading that way and winter's winding down, and I've got one more big event in October, and then I thought if you're going to be here, I'd plan for it. It's not that far for me, really.
No, I know. I've driven it. I've driven to your house from Idaho. So not that bad. But let's just figure out a date that works. I'll follow up with you on it.
Perfect. Scott, thanks again. Appreciate it. Excited about having you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back and good to be helping the industry again.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. So phone lines are open. It is a free... Oh, boy. I just hung up on myself. Darn it. Hate when I do that. Let me get back to the phone system. I see we've got a call there. Phone lines are open. You can get in. I just have to reconnect to the phone system. I was hitting the button right as it moved, and I hung up on myself. All right, we are back. I had a call there. I think they may have hung up when I disconnected. So a couple things. I've got a lot going on today, so I could certainly... end the show now. I will give you just a couple minutes, see if we have any other calls come in. And if not, I might just wrap up a little early today. So let me see if I had any other notes. I don't think so. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about today. And I don't see any calls coming in. So you know what? I think I'm going to wrap this up for the day. We will see you back here tomorrow. Don't forget, CMC registration is open. Let me get back to my announcements. All right. Well, I thought I had some announcements, but I don't see any. I do see we've got some calls coming in, so I will hang out for just a minute here. We'll take some calls. Would have been the CMC sign up. Go to letstruck.com, click under events and get signed up. We've only got 60 seats available. Sometime this week I'll check on the number and see how many we have left, but I'm pretty sure they're going to fill up pretty quick. Let's go to Kansas. Steve, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. I know you're trying to get out of here and go be productive someplace else.
No, that's all right.
I just wanted to give you a little bit of quick info. I know Joel had brought it up a few weeks ago, the Hotshot Secret Depth Defender that they had been working on for a couple of years and just finally got the formula done and got it out. Well, my truck, I had to do one box, everything else put in a long time ago, not that long, a couple of years ago. And I use Pittsburgh Power fuel catalysts and all that. But I had a code, came on about a month and a half ago, and I checked the code, and it was a knock sensor code, depth code, whatever. Lasted for about 4 or 5 days, went back out. Well, about 3 days later, it came on again. And about that time, Joel had brought up the Depth Defender. Well, this time the code was not going away. And I went everywhere online trying to find some place to buy the Depth Defender from Hotshot Secret. Couldn't find it any place for retail. No place. The only place I could buy it was, I did find through Amazon I could order it, or through Hotshot Secret actual website. Well, I ordered some through them, had went home. By the time I left the house, it still hadn't shown up. Well, the next load I had was going straight up through Ohio, and their actual warehouse and retail facility is right there just above Columbus on 71.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I'm going right by through there, and I think it was Brandy, salesperson, and she's like, I'll leave some out in the smoke shop shed thing outside for you if you can't get by, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'll be by through there in the morning. So I got through there in the morning, and I go in, and there it is up on the counter. I'm like, okay, cool. And I said, well, they had like 10 bottles up on the counter. And I said, well, how many bottles are in a case? And she's like, well, I don't know. That's all we have right there. And I'm like, where's the rest of it? Well, we have to get it from the warehouse, and it's coming in, blah, blah, blah. I'm taking all 10. Screw it. So I bought all 10 of them, and I had 8 of them that are at home now. Okay, so this code was on my deal. I hadn't went away. It's been on there for over a month. I dumped the Hot Shot Secret, and I filled my tank up, which holds in the freight line. It's either 23 or 25 gallons. One bottle treats 20 gallons. Dumped it in, filled my def up, so I knew I should have been good because, not really over-treating it, but right about there.
Right.
Next time I had to put def in, I was down. It took, I think, around 12, 13 gallons because I never emptied all the way out. About 12 gallons. And as I'm filling up, when it's getting to the top, these bubbles and stuff are coming up out of the top where I'm filling it. Will look like soap suds. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, that's got to be the cleaner in this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's actually doing some kind of cleaning with the chemicals. So I dumped in a little bit more for the 10, 12 gallons I put in. And, okay, no problem. Total of 5 days into it, that light went out. No more codes, completely cleared, done. Has not come back on again.
That's impressive.
So apparently it is going through the system, cleaning the system up, hopefully cleaning up my def doser, getting the crystallization off of it. Plus, as you know, def freeze point is 12 degrees, and it lowers the freeze point by 20 degrees.
Ooh,
so
that's
your
big.
def now will not freeze until about -8.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it
because
is.
if your truck is sitting someplace, you don't want to leave the def tank full because there's no room for it to expand. It can break your def tank.
Yeah,
If
interesting.
they parks for a week and it's cold. But that extra 20 degrees lowers to -8 now. So in the wintertime, that's highly important if you're up north, Great thing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give a little feedback that it does definitely work. It's proved it to me already. So anybody wants it as of right now, they didn't tell me when I asked her, and she didn't have any idea when it was become retail available in truck stops and things like that. But it's every place I went, Amazon or there, it was $9.99 for a bottle of it. The bottle treats 20 gallons or a little more, but in a really small bottle. So,
Yeah.
go to Hot Shot Secrets website and you can order it directly through them.
Excellent. Great results.
So and I wanted to give you that feedback because from personal experience, it definitely does work.
Perfect.
So I'm excited.
Love it.
All right, man. Hey, have a great day.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Sarah, welcome.
Good morning. I was listening to your replays of last week's show, and when you were talking about the parking issue, the one, I don't know if it was a law or regulation or whatever that doesn't allow service plaza type stops along the freeways.
Yeah, there's a federal regulation about that.
Federal regulation. And you said that you had mentioned that NATSO, it'll never go through because NATSO was opposing it. And as I was driving over the last week, we went through both Kansas and Oklahoma. And on the turnpikes, I noticed that all of the plazas have been flagged and taken over by Loves. I'm like, now why would the National Association of Truck Stop owners oppose an opportunity that would give them sole income on a pull off the freeway real easy, spend some money and pull back on? Because right now you can it might take more people or some people out of their service, but people will still pull off exits. But if they also put locations along the freeway, they're the only ones who can make money from those people. It's like they're shooting themselves in the foot.
If I had to guess, and this is a total guess because I don't know, when we see it at travel plazas on toll roads where there's an exception, the contracting with the government is sometimes odd. Like you've got a fast food contractor. I have no idea, like on the Ohio Turnpike, who is the fuel contractor. I mean, who actually makes money from the fuel itself. So my guess is they were worried that it's if it's handled the way it is on a toll road, it's not a true free market. It's a government, boondoggle usually, whose buddy is getting the contract for those. Whereas, in their world, they can go buy land and put up a truck stop and it's theirs. Whereas because the government controls this, then the government's going to choose winners and losers. That's my only guess, because you're right that they should want that new opportunity to build something like that. So if I had to guess, that would be what I think the problem is.
I wonder if we can get somebody inside NATSO and see what the heck is going on, and maybe kind of, turn some thoughts on it. I mean, just like I said, just look at Love's. They are at the service plazas all across Kansas and Oklahoma now.
That makes sense, right?
And I don't. Yes, it makes sense for Love's,
right?
I mean, they've been expanding like gangbusters over the last 5-6 years, and put in. They have an app. They put in a lot of dog parks at a lot of the new Love's, and I mean, we stop at Love's and spend money just because they have dog parks,
right?
And it would just make sense to me for the truck stop owners to want that ability to be able to put their own truck stop right on the side of the freeway.
Right.
So you're gonna have other people in there with their plazas too. But so what?
Here's what makes the most sense, and as far as I know, I think I've only ever seen these on turnpikes. Trying to think if there's an exception somewhere. There may be, but I don't. So it makes the most sense when you put the travel plaza in between the lanes of travel. So you only have one that you can get to from either side.
There's two places where I have seen that, and they're both on the 95 in Maryland, north of Baltimore, between Baltimore and the Delaware state line. It's called the Chesapeake House and the Maryland House, and they have it in the center lane. And there's
that makes sense.
A huge travel plaza for cars, for trucks.
Right.
One of them put in a dog park recently, and it's a great big area, like picnic areas and the traveler information. And I'm like, why don't they do this all over the place?
It's so much better for traffic. It's a much better use of land. It's more efficient. It makes so much sense, and yet it is the federal government that stops that somehow. And like I said, I've never verified the whole NATSO, but I've heard it from enough people that there has to be something to it.
Right.
But you're right.
Okay, well, that was my thought for the day.
All right. Thanks for the call. I agree. Let's go to Texas this time. Darius, welcome.
Hey, Kevin, I got a question for you. I'm doing oversized now. I'm thinking of buying this truck from this owner. And I got a question for you. This is a 14-liter Detroit in it. It's a 2007 Coronado. Is it good to do the power box from Pittsburgh Power on this truck to get more power out of it?
They don't really do the power box much anymore because they can program right inside the ECM, which is better. My question would be not so much about the programming or the power box, but why this truck? What has you interested in this truck?
Well, the 14-liter Detroit, obviously. So those are rare.
Well, but hold on. They're really not. Hold on. They're really not that rare. But the one that's rare that we kind of get excited about is when you can find one that's non-EGR. But that's not the case here. This is going to be full EGR.
Yes, definitely full EGR.
And these were some of the worst years
heavy-duty axles
for engines. 07, just a horrible year. I mean, there's nothing about that engine that excites me, not being an 07 EGR version at all. We didn't see good fuel economy out of them. We didn't see good performance. I'm not sure. We've talked about this so little, I don't even know what Pittsburgh Power's tune is for this engine. I'm just wondering why this particular truck?
Well, it's over. So, it's got the heavy-duty axles. I want to add a fourth one to it. As soon as he removed the EGR, it runs 10 times better.
Wait,
so
it's been
EGR.
Oh, forget it. I wouldn't go anywhere near this truck. The truck's illegal,
No, I know. I understand.
Well, there are shops. There are shops you can't take it onto the property. Most shops will not let that truck on their property because it's illegal.
No, I know. I understand. But I checked the oil samples on everything. But the rears, the transmission, and the engine. It's perfect. Everything is clean.
But I can find 10,000 trucks with good oil samples. I mean, there's nothing special. Sure, it's something we absolutely check, but that's just the base level. I'm not going to buy a truck that has dirty oil samples, but most don't. Most are clean. So again, I'm looking. So my take on how you buy equipment like this, because we have so many choices. There's 100,000 trucks for sale right now. We have so many choices.
Right.
You should look for a reason not to buy a truck. And on this one, that's all I'm hearing are reasons not to buy it. It's an 07 14-liter, horrible engine. It was deleted. Now it's illegal. Now we don't know how they deleted it. I have some really big reasons not to buy this. How much weight are you pulling?
140 altogether gross.
And you're going to add another axle to this one?
So I could go 155, yes.
So how much is this truck?
20 grand.
Yeah, I don't see it.
And why does he's got more than 10 trucks. Why do all these trucks he puts in 410 gears in the back? I got 18 speed.
So this has really got 410 gears in it?
He changed it to 410. All his trucks have 410.
So why do you want this truck?
Well, when I'm driving,
now you're questioning the rear ends, and you should be. I'm not understanding why you're so interested in this truck that has nothing but problems.
Well, I don't have any problem. I've been driving the truck for 6 months, more than 6 months. It's an awesome truck.
Wait.
It's already heavy-duty axles and everything else.
You already bought this?
No.
Why are you driving it? I'm confused.
Thinking about it. No. I want to buy it from the owner.
So you don't own a truck now?
He gave me the option. No, sir.
Have you ever owned a truck?
Yes. I had many trucks. I used to have Cascadias I sold during COVID, after COVID. The automatic ones. Those were perfect with the DD15.
So what kind of fuel?
That was regular reefer. This is oversized,
I know. That would make the choice of the truck even more critical, and I just don't understand why you're so fixated on this truck. What kind of fuel economy does it get?
5, 4.5.
Well, which one? What's your average?
Average is about 5.5. Oh, average is 5.5.
Exactly.
No, not exactly, because I stopped
you don't
checking
know
a month ago
you don't know the fuel economy. Look, if you're calling and asking me for my advice is I wouldn't walk away from this truck. I would run away from it. But I think you're going to buy it no matter what I say. I can't think of a worse truck to buy, honestly.
For oversize?
Yeah, for oversize. An 07 deleted 14-liter. How many total miles are on this truck?
Over 1 million.
Well, how much?
Computer, so
you don't even...
$1 million too. No.
Are you sure?
It was 1 million. It was little. It just got to 1 million. Then and the computer and the dashboard need to be changed, so it started all over. So it's 1,022,000 miles.
As far as you know. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to spend trying to talk you out of it. I can't imagine that you couldn't give me this truck. If you gave it to me, I would sell it to some other sucker so I could buy something that makes sense. And it's got 410 rear ends.
Yeah, but what's his reasoning? He changes all his trucks to 410.
If you don't understand why there are 410 gears in there, why are you interested in the truck?
No, I was going to change it to 3.35 like every other truck.
So now you've got the cost. So now you've got the cost of a whole new axle plus re-gearing the two that are there. Why? Why not just go buy the right truck to begin with? Everything about this truck is screaming no.
I don't think I'm going to find one.
Well, what do you mean you're not going to find one?
What would you recommend for a heavy haul? Under 20 grand.
Why are you trying to stay under 20 grand?
No, the trucks are so cheap. I want to go before the EGR, before everything, actually, you know? No DPF, no DEF.
Okay. Like I said, clearly I'm not going to convince you not to buy this truck. I think it's a huge mistake.
I gotcha. I thought these were good engines, the 14 liters.
Non-EGR. That doesn't mean deleting the EGR that is supposed to be there. It means a 14-liter that was built as a non-EGR engine. I think you're confusing the fact that once in a while we got excited because we could find an 03 or an 04 that was non-EGR to begin with. That was a good engine. We've talked about that. But taking an 07 and deleting it is not the same.
I understand.
But even if it was, it's an engine. There's plenty of good engines, but nothing about this truck makes sense. I don't want an 07 anything. 04 to 07 are some of the worst engines we've ever built. They were so bad, people deleted them. Now they're illegal, which causes a bunch of problems. And many times they don't run very well. This one clearly isn't getting good fuel economy. It's got the specs are horrible. I just, like I said, I can't imagine why you're interested in this truck, but obviously you are.
Well, the thing is, I don't have to go and look for another one. I just get this one and that's it. The pain in the ass to find one that,
Darius, are you listening to yourself? It's too much trouble to find the right truck to run my business, so the hell with it. I'll just take this one. That you should not be in business with an attitude like that. Seriously. Being in business is hard.
Kevin,
to be successful, it takes work. I end every show with do the hard work. And Darius is saying, oh, hell, I'm not doing the hard work. I'm just going to take this truck that makes no sense whatsoever. Because it's too hard to go find a good truck.
No, for regular...
No, you said that. You said it. You said it's too hard to go find a good truck. It is not. It's not hard at all. I can find them all day long.
No, it's not too hard.
You said it.
It's not too hard, but this is not a truck for fuel economy. There is no fuel economy in oversized.
Bullshit.
There's no way to get more than 5.
Would you? Are you kidding me? Should I bring John Brickner back in? Do you ever listen on Thursday?
How much does John do on oversight? No,
140.
I don't. I have no time on Thursday.
140.
What does he get?
Over 7.5 in Canada.
Over 7.5.
Yes, with B trains and 140,000 pounds, multiple axles, multiple wheels, 140,000 pounds. Yes, he does. It's completely possible. So when you say there is no fuel economy in heavy haul, the other thing you're missing, who do you think does better when they get a... Let's say we could add a half mile per gallon to somebody's operation. We add a half mile to gallon to Joel, who's already pushing 12 plus. Or We had a half mile to the gallon to you that's getting 4.5. Who makes out better?
Yeah. Oh, of course he does, you know.
No. See, this is why you're not even understanding the basic math. No, Joel does not do better when he gets a half mile per gallon gain. You do. Every tenth when you are that low is a huge savings. If you get an extra half mile per gallon, it's more than 10%. For him, it's not even close to 10% gain. So the lower your fuel economy is, the more important it is to improve it. And you're just saying, oh, there is no fuel economy in heavy haul. Sure there is. There's not a truck on the road we can't improve the fuel economy on.
No, I understand.
No, I don't think you do.
What would you recommend? I do. All my Cascadias did over 8. You know, easy.
Heavy haul?
That I had 5 years ago. No, reefer.
So again, why did we get rid of all these trucks?
Oh, I've had enough of the business, you know.
Well, no, I don't know, because you're talking to me about buying a truck.
No, I do. I was wondering, you know, if you don't like this truck, I thought these engines were good. So should I look for a Colorado?
No, I don't think you should get back into business. That's my advice. I don't think you have the right attitude and mindset to be in business.
Why do you say that?
Because you don't want to do the hard work.
Oh, I've been doing the hard work for 10 years. I had enough doing the hard work. I want easy. This is easy. This is very interesting, you know, oversized.
I don't believe oversized is easy at all. And I'm 99% sure you're going to fail at it.
No. Definitely not, you know.
Okay.
So you don't like this engine? Would have to be 2003. 14 liter.
No, I wouldn't be looking for a 2003 14 liter. They're so rare, and that would make it 22 years old. Why aren't we looking at a 16, 17, 18, a 2020, 2021, something spec'd properly that we could get good fuel economy out of and is modern and up to date? But why heavy haul? I mean, there's lots of trucks I could go build or buy or look for, but an 03 would not be one of them.
Well, you know, that's $80,000 truck. This is 20.
No, they're not $80,000 trucks. The trucks I'm talking about are 40 to 45.
Hmm. 2020's 45,000 now, huh? I haven't even looked, tell you the truth.
Because you don't want to do the hard work. You just admitted it again. You want to buy a truck, but you don't even understand the truck market. You don't know what the price of something should be because you admitted it. You didn't look.
No, I understand. I know what you're saying. If you would recommend a truck, you would have this. It would have to have DPF and EGR. Which one?
Which one? What?
2016, let's say, or 2018. Which truck would you recommend for heavy haul?
Darius, there's no reason to have this conversation anymore.
I got you, Kevin. All right. Well, thank you for your help. I really appreciate it. You know,
you're welcome. I hope you just think about it. Call me back. Just think about it for a while. Call me back and decide if you really want to be in business or not. So I don't think you do. I don't think you're willing to do the work it's going to take to succeed. Let's go to Illinois. Dale, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. I was just wanting to comment on that gentleman you were just talking to. It took me a year of looking before I found the truck that I'm driving now. And is it the exact truck that I wanted? No. But it was as close to as I could get for what I wanted to do. And I'm glad I did that, but it just took time. It took a lot of time and a lot of looking to find that truck.
And
but I did.
It's paying off.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. I here again, I just followed your advice. And, you know, what don't I like about the truck? What do I do? Will it fit the application I want to use it for, the duty cycle? And I had to compromise on some stuff. But I'm not going to find exactly what I want.
Right.
And I think that old boy, I think if he just is patient and looks a little longer, I think he could find something closer than spending a ton of money on trying to get that truck how he wants.
Well, from what we were able to figure out, he hasn't put any time into it. None. He just wants to buy this one because he's already driving it and it's easy. He hasn't shopped the market. He doesn't know what trucks cost. He said it's too much work.
Yep.
To me, here's what too much work is.
Well,
too much work to me is driving 100,000+ miles a year at a lesser profit than I could have because I don't want to do the hard work. That's way too much work for me to go work and waste all of that money, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year, because I didn't want to do a little bit of hard work up front.
Yep. The hard work up front will pay off.
Yes.
Absolutely it will. And I'll attest to that.
Absolutely.
So that's my 2 cents. I just want to give you a little advice there. Just be patient, take your time, and find the right truck. You'll be a lot happier.
Good advice. Thanks for the call. Let's head off to New Mexico. Tom, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. I was very frustrated on that call with that gentleman, but he maybe he should just be a company. If it's easy, if he's doing what he likes to do and it's easy and he's making enough money why has he got to buy that truck? He's already driving that truck. Just be in the truck, be a company driver.
Right.
Life goes on.
Exactly.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
nothing
happy,
wrong with that.
hell?
Right.
Yeah, because no, nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing wrong with it at all. That's well, there is a lot wrong with it. That's what I do. Hey, real quick, I wasn't going to call him, but I was so frustrated that I thought I'd talk to Angie for a little bit. You see what they're going to come out with the Tylenol and the link to autism. Did you see that?
I have not seen that.
Okay, so RFK Jr. is going to come out with this is what the thought is, that the link for autism in pregnant women is going to be with ibuprofen, not so much the vaccines. It's not. He hasn't come out with it yet, the study, but I'm having a hard. I mean, ibuprofen's been around since '61. I'm having a real hard time with believing that that's going to be the case. That it's going to be ibuprofen.
So here's my thought, that it's not as simple as we want it to be. That it is multi-factor. No. That there's not one thing we're going to be able to point to and say, if this didn't exist, we wouldn't have these rates of autism. I don't think it's going to be one thing. I think it's way more complicated than that. I think vaccines do play a role, not just the vaccine, but the aggressive schedule we put kids on, and we give them so many at once. I think that's a problem. When we look at our food supply and all the toxins and the dyes and the non-food items, I think that's a problem. When we look at our toxic our environment has become, I think those are all factors. I don't think we're going to find this one big trigger and say this is the problem.
Well, environmentally wise, the Amish have the same environmental.
No, they don't.
Precursors that no,
they don't.
It's not food. Well, what do you mean they don't? They're drinking the same water and breathing the same air.
That
it's not like they live in a bubble. It's not.
And no.
It's not John Travolta.
Let's look where most Amish live. They live in more undeveloped areas. So the water and the air could be slightly cleaner. They don't eat our food supply. They don't get the vaccines. I mean, we could go through lots of things that are different about the Amish, and that's what I mean.
Right.
It's multi-factor. Do you think that most Amish kids stare at computer and phone screens the way the average American does, or are they outside more? Are they getting more physical labor? There's
but that doesn't
thousand differences.
No, I understand that. But that doesn't have anything to do with autism. No, I'm just having a
wait a minute. I think it does.
That this is.
That's what I'm saying. Now. I think it's our entire lifestyle that has done this.
Well, I don't know if it would be. I'm talking about where they put the helmet on, you're drooling on yourself, autism. You know what I mean? I'm talking about.
I think that's
just so many studies on that. And
go ahead.
There's just so many stories coming out with parents that go to get their kid that MMR, I think it is.
Measles, mumps, rubella.
Measles, rubella.
Yeah.
And that kid was perfect when he went in there.
I don't disagree.
They shoot him up.
But here's something we have to think of.
Now they're going to blame it on.
And this is why this is never as simple as we'd like it to be. So answer me this. I agree. The MMR vaccine has had a long, sketchy history in a lot of ways. Not every kid that gets it becomes drooling on themselves wearing a steel helmet. Still a fairly small number. There is a direct correlation, I believe, that shot can trigger it. No doubt. There's enough evidence. But then we would have to ask, but it doesn't happen to everybody, not even close. Why not? What's the difference?
No, right. But it just seems this is an easy scapegoat because it was the patent was up 20 years ago. It's off label now. They're not going to lose any money blaming autism on this. We'll see what happens in 5, 6, 7 years if the rate of autism goes down because pregnant women aren't taking it, and I will bet you that it doesn't.
No,
I'm just saying. I just hope that RFK Jr. isn't compromised by big pharma and all these guys, that are compromised by big pharma, and our, the congressmen and they're just using this as a scapegoat. I hope that's not the case. I hope.
Well, you're never gonna. I'll take the other side. You're never going to convince me it's just and when you said Tylenol, then you said ibuprofen. Those are two different things. Tylenol is acetaminophen.
Isn't Tylenol? No, that's okay. Maybe it's acetaminophen. It's one of it's either ibuprofen or acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen has a lot of issues. Acetaminophen is really, really hard on our liver. And then if you take even normal doses and you have a drink or two alcohol, then it's about 4 times harder on your liver. We take it way too casually, and it does cause problems. Could it be one of the triggers that could lead to more autism? Yeah, I think it possibly could. It's not going to be the only reason, and you're right. I hope it doesn't just become the scapegoat and everybody simplifies it and thinks that's it. I think it's one of, and I would say it's probably a minor issue, not a major issue, because it's way too common to use acetaminophen. It's probably has been our most popular pain reliever for a couple decades. If it were that much of a trigger, we would see even more of it. Because it is so common.
Right. You see 100% of the kids getting born because you know that most mothers are taking it. That's
absolutely.
All I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
So anyway, yeah. And there might be. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting study. I'm going to actually read this one if it's not 300 pages on my phone if I can. But this is,
Tom,
I'm just sort of shocked that they don't put it on vaccines.
I have a tip for you if it is 300 pages.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Guess what it is.
Croc?
Yes, tell him to summarize it for you. It's so much easier.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's probably what I meant by what I said. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's great.
Just run
right.
it.
I know you got a bunch of shit to do. I just wanted to run that by you, see if maybe you can come up with anything before Wednesday about if that study comes out, or
I may check.
You know, it just pisses me off. All right, thank you, man.
All right, talk to you soon. Let's go to Tennessee this time. Zach, welcome.
Thanks for taking my call. Believe it or not, I wasn't calling the fight, but your last comment to Tom there, I got to take a swing.
Oh, boy.
One of the things you said about AI is it's going to make us dumber. And here Tom was going to read 300 pages, and he said, no, just let Grok do the work.
So I could see where you're coming from with that.
That much yet.
Well, but,
okay, all right.
And you're right. I should qualify. I would use AI because most of the 300 pages of these reports are total garbage that will kill brain cells trying to read it. And I can get a summary from AI and I can know whether it was hallucinating or not. And here's the other thing. I don't trust most studies much anyway. I read them all the time. I will continue to read them, but there's always conflicts of interest. There's always, they used a really bad methodology. They're all suspect. So my default always is, okay, you have your research, or we have this study or that study, or I am just doing everything I can to avoid things that didn't exist until we had factories. Pharmaceuticals, food, I try to avoid as much of it as I can because I don't believe them anyway.
Well, I will write the AI summary I finally got through why we get sick. It only took 6 years, 4 months, and 3 days. But I can write the AI summary for it. Everything causes insulin resistance, and insulin resistance causes everything.
You got it.
And that you could have just put it on a little note card there, and that was a rough one.
You got it.
My two real subjects I called. I didn't hear all you and Tom were talking about the Amish, but I'll start with the Amish. When I moved to Tennessee, the second job I have down here, I went to work for a family that had left the Amish, so I got to be and they were Mennonite, at least a couple of the boys were. And what I learned is there's not just Amish and non-Amish.
Correct.
There's old order Amish, like the Schwartzentruber 1 bath a week. There's that, then there's new order Amish, and they're the ones that they look Amish, but you'll see them driving a tractor. Like they'll get in it and drive it to town just as their vehicle, but they won't actually drive a vehicle. And then you get into the Mennonites, who they drive the cars. And Bruce was talking last week when you guys were talking about Amish. He mentioned the semi that had black on it. Now, he said that the guy with the semi put the black on there to protect the chrome, which maybe that's the truth. But I did hear down here about I'll call them a sect, of blacked out Mennonites. And that was literally part of and this is all these Amish bishops and these Mennonite bishops, that these people wield an unbelievable amount of power over these groups. So I don't know if he just didn't want to admit I'm actually a blacked out Mennonite there's a real swing. And when you were talking to Tom, you said they don't need our food source. Oh yeah. You'll see them at Walmart. You'll see them with the 25-pound bag of sugar.
Hold on. That's new. That has been a progression, but they are way behind us. And again, this is all across the board. This isn't black and white. But you could look at
I agree with that.
What you're talking about, the way the Amish might eat now, probably the way I ate growing up. Cereal was kind of a new thing. The big, sugary cereals, sweet stuff for breakfast. That was fairly new. Now it's the norm. And yes, some Amish eat our food supply. I shouldn't say all. It's very, very common for them to have big gardens, to raise a lot of their own food, way more than anybody on the standard American diet. I mean, it's not even close. Will you see them at the ice cream shop in town? Probably. But they probably closer to the way I did growing up in the 60s than the way kids do today. And we will see problems eventually with it. It's no different than the cultures, the Native Americans, native populations when first world countries come in. The Native Americans were outrageously healthy before we got here. They're not so healthy today. That's happened in Australia, New Zealand, just about everywhere that the Europeans come in. And the Europeans have somewhat adapted to this over time. Not completely. It still makes us really sick too. But we've watched when the Europeans come in and all of a sudden these native cultures are exposed to this, not slowly, they're exposed pretty quickly. Their health deteriorates really fast. And we may see that in the Amish if they continue to eat our food supply. It'll be worse for them than it was for us.
Oh, and I agree with you. I'm not saying all the Amish do all this, but there's some misconceptions about the Amish. Like, for instance, it's not a religion; it's just a way of life. This is their culture. It's not their religion. When I was talking with the family member that he come out Amish, but now he was Mennonite. We were talking about that because I'm down here in kind of an epicenter of where people come from Alabama to visit these Amish places and buy the produce and the furniture and the whatever. And the dogs, I heard you guys talking about that too. They do that here. But this guy that he used to be Amish and now he's Mennonite. So somehow we were talking about gardening. He said, a little Roundup helps in that area. So they're using, when I say they,
I'm
not saying all of them,
I believe it. Right.
Yeah, just don't think just because they're wearing a straw hat and they got a beard that Roundup didn't get used on them vegetables.
No, it's possible it did, but look at the progression of it. And like I said, they're probably where we were in the 60s and 70s. And if they continue down that path, their health outcomes will be worse.
One advantage they have is these folks will work themselves to death. What I did is I delivered building materials, and one particular one I remember, I'm out there and there's two 10-year-old boys out there with pickaxes working in the dirt. Child slave labor is what it was, but this is our culture, so it's okay. So one thing that might give them a little more time.
I actually do think it's okay.
Into their health is how much activity there. The slave labor thing.
Yeah. What's wrong with 10-year-olds working hard?
I'm not saying they should never work hard, but they're being played. I mean, they're doing. I feel like their future is at least being altered to what maybe they could do.
So you don't.
This is part of their culture too.
You don't think
kids don't make any money till 21?
You don't think plopping a 2, 3, 4-year-old down in front of a TV, a computer screen, an iPad, a phone, and feeding them a bunch of chemicals is altering their future? Give me the 10-year-old outside with a pickaxe any day of the week. Over what we've done to our children, we have abused our children. We've raised them to be entitled, to be weak, to be sick. Oh yeah, it's not even close. Give them a pickaxe and put them out in the dirt. They'll be far better off.
Physically, yes. I'm
mentally too. Look at what we've done to the mental capacity of our children today. We've destroyed their brains. That is a far healthier way to live. Call it slave labor if you want, but I'd much rather see my kids raised like that.
I wouldn't say it's not healthier physically.
Mentally, too.
Mentally, I don't know how much mental. No. Before you, don't think that I'm fighting for screen time. Hopefully you don't think that oh no, they should be on their laptop. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just, because I agree with you there that it's not good for them, to just be glued to their screens. But when I see a 10-year-old out there and all he's doing is just, digging a hole because dad don't want to pay somebody to come out and dig the hole, or because dad don't want to dig the hole. I'm looking at it from, I don't know, maybe a psychological standpoint as opposed to a physical standpoint. What I see is dad reaping the money off a 10-year-old doing work that a full-grown man should be doing and being paid a living wage for, I guess is how I would say that. Yeah,
see, I think growing up on a farm and doing that kind of work is about the healthiest thing a human could do. I don't care what age you are.
It could be.
And mentally, makes them mentally strong.
Well, I don't know, man. Now there's an area I'm definitely going to disagree with you. They don't go to school to 8th grade, and maybe they would be better off. And when I say they, again, I'm not saying every last one of them, but the majority of them, the culture, the system is they go to school till 8th grade, then they work for dad until they're 21, and they don't make a dime. Dad gets all the money, and then at 21 is when they actually start working and they get to keep the money. I don't know if they get to keep all of it, but I know up until 21, at least some of them down here, they don't get to keep any of that money. I mean, it is straight up, you send your 10-year-old out, let me not say that. I don't know if they send them out. Well, I think they do. Yeah, they do work for other people. I think that's fair to say. So it's one of those things that, maybe we will have to agree to disagree on that one.
I think so.
You were asking a lot of questions in the beginning, and I don't know if I don't know if the right word is facetious or rhetorical, but I know you were, because you were just asking questions like, what is going on here about why don't we have a national CDL? Why do we have to have authority? These silly government ways of doing things. Did you hear when DOGE got started about why we can only retire so many federal government employees per month? What the reason was for the 10,000 only?
I think I did. Let me see if I can get this right. I wasn't paying attention a lot, but isn't it still...
Oh, you should have paid attention.
Isn't it still a completely manual paper process, and all the files are like a mile underground, and they can only bring so many up? Is that what that was all about?
Yes. This is the fodder of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
The reason we can only do 10,000 employees a month is because of the speed of the elevator that takes the people down to where the filing cabinet. It's no wonder that Elon Musk walked out. He walked out. He probably had to be part laughing, part crying. This is really how you people think.
Right.
And if you would ask, and they'd probably look at you like you're the crazy one. Yes, that's why there'll probably never be what should be a federally issued CDL, get rid of authority. All those just basic common sense, private world, business people. This one of the best example of private versus public, to me anyway. President Trump and President Biden were in their debate, and it was during the COVID thing, and Biden said, just put up plexiglass. And Trump said, plexiglass is very expensive. Biden didn't have any idea.
No,
because he's been a government employee for 50 years. And we've got some families that are government, and they're my favorite as far as aunt and uncle, as far as how kind they are. But the disconnect from the private world to the public to the government endless supply of money, doesn't matter what anything costs, just do it. That's why
here's something ironic.
We agree. We couldn't agree any more on that, Kevin.
No, we agree on this. Here's the ironic part, because you're right. They spend money like it just doesn't matter. They don't think about the cost. They don't think about the profitability or where the money comes from. So you would think, if it doesn't matter, we should have the best of everything. Why do we still have this slow elevator? Why do we still have our air traffic control software from the 1960s? It's such an ironic thing that the government wastes so much money, and yet they're not up to date on things. It's so bizarre.
Well, I think it's because this just burns me to hear them called public servants as if they're sacrificing to do something. $50 an hour they retired at. That's why they don't care, because they were making $50 an hour. Who gives a rat's rear end?
No,
but we're not going to solve that problem. But hey, we disagree a little today. We agree a little today. I'll let somebody else get on.
All right. We'll end on the agreement. I like it. Thanks for the call. Let's go to, this is going to be our final call today, too. Let's go to Wyoming. Cole, welcome. Oh, Angie said it's the caller. Okay. All right. It must be cold then. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. All right. We will see you back here tomorrow. Be safe. Be profitable. Be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.